Hey everyone, it's Jake at Jake's Metal Chat. Hope you're all well, and welcome to episode 45 of my Metal Vault, where I will be exploring and showing you my favorite albums within heavy metal to thrash metal to death metal, black metal, doom metal, sludge metal, folk metal, you name it, all that excellent stuff. I know I was meant to record this yesterday, just got really busy yesterday doing work and then I had the gym later on, and I then had an admin meeting with the pagan group that I'm part of here. So couldn't fit it in, but I thought I'd do it today. I am going to the gym later on, and so I thought I'll do this episode now, and then I'm going to do my favorite death metal albums video. That'll be number 15. So once I get back from the gym, I'll start doing that, and this will already be up by then. So this band, all the way from Sweden, seen these guys plenty of times, and I have two of their earliest albums here. They are classed as what's called gent, but back in the day they were more technical groove thrash. I'm talking about Meshuggah, and these guys, man, you know, just seeing them live. If you've seen them live, you know what they're like. I've seen these guys. The first time I saw them was Bloodstock 2010. Then again was at the Roundhouse in London, and then at Download one year. No, might have seen them before Download, but I know I saw them at Download 2018. And then they headlined Bloodstock last year. They're headlining Art Tangent this year, like they did last year. Not last year, 2019. Yeah, looking forward to seeing them again. These guys, like I said, they've been going around for since 1987. That's how old this band is. It's you know just amazing how long these guys have been going, how long they've been creating music. Their music's a lot different from the two albums that I am going to be showing you. What the first one is, the second one is going towards what they ended up writing. So, without further ado, here are the albums in question. So, here is the first one from 1991. This is their debut, Contradictions Collapse, with also the Nun EP. So this is a re-release here. So I'll talk about that briefly as well. And then the other one is their second album from 1995, Destroy, Erase, Improve. And these absolutely just killer albums. Of course, How I Got Into My Heard, what was it? Probably Do Not Look Down and Bleed, which Do Not Look Down's from Colossus, and Bleed is from Osbin. Before I get on to these albums, let's talk about the band. But before I do that, actually, thinking about it, is the CD, pictures of the band. Well, there's pictures of them back in the early 90s. More pictures there. There's no book, sadly, but we do have a band picture right there. Just just one hell of a band. And before I end up chatting about them, more here. So the CD there, band picture there, which of course we're in the same lawn sleeves in that in the last picture. But this one does have a book, so you can see the artwork yet again. It's like lyrics and stuff here. And yeah, that's about it for this. Like I said, these guys formed in 1987. And they were more on just get up here, more on the technical, groovy thrash metal side. Of course, they had 2 demos and 1 EP. So the 1989 demo, and hope I get this right. Injunction of Salvation. I hope I said that right. That came out in 1989. I have heard it, and it's a really cool demo. Because I don't think a lot of people know this, but where is he? Jans, there he is. Just found him. Jans, before just doing vocals for the band, he was also the guitarist. So on the first album, as well as the two demos and EP, he played guitar as well as vocals. And back then they were a 4-piece, they're not the 5-piece that we know today. Now getting on to the EP Meshuggah, that came out in June of 1989, which has 3 songs on it. The demo had 6 songs on it. And then, of course, the other demo from 91, which is called All This Because of Greed, which has 4 songs on it. So 2 on each side, because the picture I'm looking at is a tape. And it's it says promo tape on the picture, but demo promo. Yeah, but, because what they were playing in the late 80s, early 90s was a little bit different. Well, they did, like I said, they formed in 87. They did split up in 88, but then got back quickly thereafter. And the name is Sugar, if anyone's interested, just a little bit of a fact here. What I'm from reading here, Meshuggah's name is taken from the Hebrew and Yiddish word for crazy. So, and that sums up their music. It's just totally bonkers. Just a powerhouse of a band, and it all started with this debut, Contradictions Collapse, with 4 songs overall, which I will get the names up here because I know looking at some of them now, I might mess up some of the names here. Because I heard this album a while back and knew I was going to be talking about this. Of course, it was released on Nuclear Blast. They are not on that label anymore, on a different label, but this was released then when they were. So the songs we have: Paralyzing Ignorance. Good little opener right there with, was it? Iron's Manipulation. I think I just said that wrong, butchered it. Do apologize. All the names there, like I said, I'm gonna. So this is a Abnegating Citadel. I think that's how that's said. Internal Evidence. Whims of Reality. Again, I'm going to butcher some of these. We will never see the day. Greed. Cause of Devastation, and then Cadaverous Mastication. Sorry. And then that also goes on to the Nun EP, which came out right after this in what year? 1994. That's their EP. So again, I'm going to briefly talk about that with humility. I think that's how it's said. Sickening Ritual and Gods of Rapture, which is one of my favorite tracks from that EP. I don't know which one my favorite is. I think it's number 3. Abnegating Citadel. I think that's the one I am thinking of, because that's one that they do have a music video of, if I can get that up. You know how my pronunciations are, so you take all this with a bit of a grain of salt. Yeah, that is so that is the one. That's it's got the music video. And that was their first music video. So that's one of my favorites. Greed, of course, and then one of my favorites. Of course, obviously, Cadaverous Mystication is Mastication is the one that ends the entire album there. Forgot to mention that. But like tracks 3 and 7, and obviously number 6 are just 3 of my favorites there. and God's Rapture on the Nun EP, which of course came out not a year later, 3 years later. And then coming from this and obviously the EP, they had another demo called Self Caged, which has 4 songs in it, a live track of Gods of Rapture, which I know for a fact they have played live quite a few times when I've seen them live. They usually just play the stuff that is from their previous albums, or mainly just newer stuff. And just one hell of a band. Of course, obviously this came out in April of '95, which then leads into their second album, Destroy, Erase, Improve, which came out in May 12th of May 1995. And I got to remember when May of '91, that's when Contradictions Collapse came out. Not sure the day, but this came out in May of '95, so 4 years since their debut. And this is when they start getting more on the I mean, the music's still groovy. It's just a lot of the stuff's really like chuggy tremolos these days. Back then, it was more like, obviously you got the tremolos and the chugginess, but then a lot of power chord riffs and stuff. Still have it on this album. Later on, it all changed, but doesn't take any away from who they are as a band and what amazing music that they make. Of course, this album here is also an absolute belter. Same with this one. Very much, like I said, it's more on the technical thrash groove side. But then obviously that's transitioning from this into what this is, still on that groove side. And this is another re-release as well, because it's got some bonus tracks down the bottom, which I think no, I think that might be from the last demo, Self Cage, is it? Looking at the tracks. Yep, that's the one. So got the demo, the '95 demo on this re-release on this, but obviously released by Nuclear Blast. Now the songs on here, of course, two of my favorite songs from here, but I'm going to say all the songs first. So we got Future Breed Machine. What? Oh, how that starts off is just nuts. And then we have Beneath, keeps that momentum going. Soul Burn, which thinking about would be a good song to just, lift some heavy weights too. It's that sort of song. And then there's Transfixion, which goes from Soul Burn, just keeps it going. Vanished, again, just keeping up the momentum. Really cool, heavy chugginess right there. And then a creed, ACRID. I think I said that's a creed. Plastid. Probably just said that wrong. Need to try and figure out how that's actually said. And then that's an instrumental. Inside What's Within Behind, which goes on from the instrumental. And then there's Terminal Illusions. Then that goes from that into Suffer Is Truth. And then that ends with the song Sub Levels. And again, with Meshuggah, they just know how to, how to do it. Okay, so looking up the instrumental, it says Placidity. There we go. So let's say that song one more time. The instrumental. Placidity. There we go. I knew I was going to get it eventually. Just to say again, so starting from Future Brew Machine and then beneath Soul Burn, Transfiction, Vanish as a Creed, Placidity, Inside what within behind. Almost made that into a tongue twister. Terminal Solutions, Suffer is the Truth, and Sublevels, and there he goes. So, and I need to learn how to say half of these words on the first album, but again, pronunciation is not always my strong suit. Obviously, two different albums. So we said this one more on the thrashy, groovy side still, but a very much a powerhouse of an album, which then goes into this one, which is what they would start. You can tell where they were going from this one, and I think you know, from what you hear from them today, you can definitely tell. And yeah, this is a band that adapted and just knew how to write just excellent music, just structure everything well. Because obviously they were a four-piece on this album, so Jans was doing guitar and vocals. I think Friedrich was, I think, yeah, in the band from the very beginning. So he's an original member. The one that they got in the band was Martin Hagstorm, and I think I just butchered that, and I do apologize. He joined the band in '92, so a year after Contradictions collapse. And his first album was obviously Destroy, Erase, Improve, and he's been on pretty much all the albums ever since. So that is Chaos Sphere, Nothing, Catch 13, Nothing, MMVI, and I'm just trying to remember what that number is in Roman numerals. Osbin, Colossus, The Violent Sleep of Reason, and oh yeah, I knew I was going to pucker up on the last one. Where is it? There we go. Immutable. There we go. I know I'll get it eventually. Immutable, but he was in another band called Barophobia, which was more on the thrash metal side, and they only lasted until '91. And he did vocals for that band. Now, there's another band that these guys were before called Collapse. Call it Kalibish. Kalibish. Kalipash. Again, pronunciations. This is obviously this wasn't a band that Meshuggah recalled before. This is just a band that the guys had before forming the name. So I was just reading here. So yeah, pretty much. And that was more on the thrash metal side, and that's when they started getting more into like, let's get a bit more groovy. And then obviously you get all those chugginess to that. So, but like I said, very different albums, but still both excellent. And of course, the EP None, also a very, very good continuation from this album, but then going from what Contradictions is to Destroying Race and Prove is. And then you can tell from all of the different albums where they were progressing from. So basically, I think it all started with this one, but it might have started with another one where they started going more down what was called gent. But overall, these two albums here, absolutely brilliant. Fantastic powerhouses of just Swedish metal. And these guys back in 1995, I saw it, found an interview on YouTube where they were on tour with who was it? Benediction, Hypocrisy, and Amorphis. And that would have been a lineup I would love to have seen. You know, if I was born a little bit earlier, would have been at those shows. Because I met someone who had like an old school long sleeve of this album, and I said, "Oh, when you saw him, because obviously a lot of you would have seen pictures. Jan's had the little mullet at the back of his head, little mullet." And I asked, "Did he have that when you saw him?" He's like, "He did, of course." Now, if you saw him live last year, he's got an awesome beard, so you know gets a lot of extra points right there. But then the band gets extra points for me because they just know how to make really cool and also quite atmospheric music. So overall with these albums, what do you get from each? Obviously more, don't want to keep saying it, but like the groove thrash metal side, technical groove thrash, still that grooviness, but going into more of what we all know from seeing them live and from all their other albums. It's that all important word, but I am going to say a lot more things both about the albums. They're both really heavy. They're both well mixed, mastered, produced. And I need to actually look up, since I'm on Future on Destroy Racing Improve, almost said the song name. Frederick did the mixing for this album. Someone named Daniel did the what did he do again? Mixing, producing. Is he? There we go. Produce, mixing, engineering for quite a few of their releases. Colossus being one of them. He didn't do Ozbin. Someone else did that one. What else has he done? He's done Ocean Machine, Onslaught. If we go back up, he also did Abath, the debut album under the name Abath. Behemoth. He's done quite a few. Just naming a few here. Witchery. Oh, and also Strapping Young Lad City, which is an excellent album there. As for the artwork, we have someone named Stefan Gilbad, I'll just butcher that, did the graphics for Frederick's solo stuff, as well, and obviously Detroit and Racing Proof. As for the mastering, that is Peter, and he's probably done a lot of stuff as well. And again, getting on to how well these albums are well mixed. So obviously going with the 95 album. He did two for Monomorph, the Avenger and the Crusher. So Avenger from 99 and Crusher from 2001. Arch Enemy, Rise of the Tyrant, and Revolution Begins. Bathory, like In Memory of Conform, volumes 1, 2, and 3. And the box, obviously the box set, I have all three. Candlemass. Trying to think who else he's done. I was looking at one band thinking it was the Swedish death metal band that I still need to get their albums, but still. Edge of Sanity, the Spectral Sorrows, cracking album. Also Crimson, just to name one more. He's done Flesh Crawl, General Surgery, Grave, Hypocrisy, who I've mentioned, Catatonia, that excellent Swedish band right there. And just so Nasm, of course, he did Nasm, Nightingale, and yeah, the list just goes on. Unleashed, yeah, list just goes on. Now let's get on to the debut. Who did what on that? So, and these names I've already clicked on. PH Ricks, obviously, yeah, did this album as well as Entomb's Uprising and Morning Star, Cult of Luna, Morbid Evils, which I do know because that has members of Rotting Sound. Rotten Sound. There we go. Yep, not Rotting Sound, Rotten Sound. I know what I meant. Also did Rotten Sound. And In Flames, of course. And two names here. So Johan was the guitarist from 87 to 88. And it wasn't on any of the albums. And Niklas was on the Meshuggah EP as the drummer, and also in the band that they had before Meshuggah. But let's go back to PH Ricks, who did the producing. Well done on that. And to briefly go to None, as it's part of this, who did that. Quite a few people did mastering and engineering. So obviously, PH Ricks did engineering along with another individual, and then there's three who did the mastering for None, which two of the members are in the band. So yeah. Now, overall conclusions of these albums. They are both heavy. They're both well produced, well executed, well structured, quite atmospheric, powerhouses, and overall, that all-important word, timeless masterpieces. They don't play much from this album live anymore, but they still play songs from this album. It'd be cool if they played songs from this album, but doubt they ever will. But if they do, I will be well chuffed. But of course, they played songs from here. I know they've played Destroy, Erase, Improve. They played Future Breed Machine. I think they've played Vanished and Soulburn live a couple of times on this album, but they usually play albums from the last album and the ones before that. But still, it'd be cool if they did some. They played a couple of songs from here. But we can only dream there. But they do play quite a few from here. So overall, brilliant albums, brilliant band. If you like stuff like this, then I highly recommend you. If you're already into Meshuggah, but you're not familiar with these two albums, I highly recommend that you check them out. Just brilliant, absolute bangers of just like awesome Swedish metal. And one of my favorite Swedish bands that's not death metal, but still heavy nonetheless. So Meshuggah with Contradictions, Collapse, and Destroy, Erase, Improve. Check them out. If you've not checked these two out, you won't be disappointed. And that is it for my 45th episode of my Metal Vault. And looking at the list, I got one more on this page to do, and it is another album from the year of 1986. You can take some guesses what that might be, but it's one that needs to be spoken about because I don't think it gets spoken about a lot. And these two albums don't get spoken about a lot. Maybe Destroy, Erase, Improve, but not Contradictions, Collapse. Because I don't hear very many people talking about it. I always bring it up in conversations, and I don't think anyone else knows about that album in particular. But if you want to know the album, let me know what your overall opinion of it is of it. Did you love it in the day? Did you hate it? Were you somewhere in between? Were you thinking that this band wasn't going to go anywhere? Well, you can see the amount of gigs that they've done, the amount of festivals they've done, the amount of tours they've done, either them headlining or supporting bands that were much bigger than them back in the day, but not on that level now. And I can't wait to see them again this year. So yeah, welcome. So welcome to anyone brand new to my channel and this series, and to all of you who have been watching my videos for a while now. Thank you for always showing the support. I do appreciate it. Don't think I never appreciate what support you give me, because I do. It means a lot. Gives me more of a reason to keep making these videos and showing off my favorite bands and doing chats, which I need to actually message some people to see if they're still up for it, because I still got quite a few people I want to get on the chat and try and get some previous guests back on. I got one in mind, and this series will continue to go forward, and I will ask people if they want to collab on a certain album. So if I mention a certain band, certain album in one of my other series that I'm going to put in this series, and you are a metal YouTuber, let's collab, let's talk about it, let's say our own opinions on the album, and we'll go from there. So thank you very much for tuning in, and to all of you, don't forget to like this video, share it around, comment down below if you got anything to say about Meshuggah, these two albums, if you know these two albums, and if you are a long-time fan of the band ever since they started. If you are one of those fans, I'd like to hear from you. If you've been listening to Meshuggah since 1987, you probably saw them from them just being a small band up until now, and it's just how crazy it is. So if you're one of those long-time Meshuggah veterans, then I want to hear from you down below in the comments. And most importantly, do not forget to subscribe to keep up to date with everything that I have coming up on my channel, be it more Metal Vault episodes, my favorite death metal albums, my favorite underground metal releases, chats, and sometimes I'll just probably do like long discussions on the state of metal and what's going on there. Maybe, might just do the old rant video then if there's something I want to rant about, but there you go. So thank you very much for tuning in. I have been Jake of Jake's Metal Chat. Keep that banner of metal held high, and I will see you all again in another episode of my Metal Vault.